Fantastic. So we are super excited to show you guys the new software that we're going to be launching hopefully in June. When you get logged in, this is the home screen. You'll see for right now until we go live, it will have the message that says this is for training and test purposes only. Tickets are not transmitted to the members. So what this means is as you log in, you can get in there and play in it. You can enter some test tickets or some existing tickets that you have to kind of get used to it. And it's no harm, no foul. It's not going to go to any members. Now, after we go live, that message will go away because your tickets will be transmitting. All right. So when we want to start a new ticket, we'll take a look at that first. We'll select the new ticket command. And this account is used to simulate what a web ticket entry user is going to see as they start logging in and entering their locate request. So you'll notice it's formatted just slightly different. So at the very top, we have our notification dates. Just under this, we have the ticket type. So if you're a web ticket entry user, has different permissions, say to enter 3-hour notices or emergencies, or maybe you design projects, you will now have a drop down that gives you access to your different ticket types. It will always default to normal. Just below that, if you're familiar with scheduling locate requests, we do still have that capability. So under the locate due by date, there's a calendar. Once you click on the calendar, you'll see that the dates with the red X's are not selectable. So you can now schedule your locate request out. Now, if you try to schedule it on a weekend, you're going to get an error to the top right that says it has to be scheduled Monday through Friday and not a holiday. So it definitely is intuitive. It'll let you know if the date you select is not selectable. Below this will be your contact information for your web ticket entry account. For our purposes here today, it's pretty generic, but it should have your company phone number, your name. If you're a contractor or utility, or in some cases, if you're a designer, you may have engineer. It'll have your company name. Something new that you will notice, we do have a few folks with larger companies that have different offices. So if you're a part of Acme Construction, and Acme Construction is throughout Virginia, they may have a Northern Virginia office or a Southwest Virginia office. This is going to open up access if you want to see the entire company or just your office. Below that, you're going to have the mailing address for the company. Then you're going to have your email and then the field contact. Now, this will incorporate anybody else in your company that has been entering information. If it is the same as yourself, you just check same as user. It'll automatically put your information in there. And then you just scroll down and we have the location information. So for the first example, once you click into the work type field, it opens up the entire list. Not to be overwhelming, that does work similar to the way it did in the previous system. As you start typing in the first 10 letters of the work type, it will filter it down and you can select the appropriate option. The done for field will work the same. So if you're doing it for a company, you want to enter that, commercial property, homeowner, or you can type same if the work is taking place for yourselves. Below this is something that may look slightly different. We have radial buttons, so you'll want to choose street or address, intersection, or between intersections. So if work is taking place on the street, so doing some road work or working directly next to it, you can stay with street. If you're working at a single address or multiple addresses, stay with street or address. If work's taking place at the intersection or maybe a point from the intersection, you would select intersection. And then, of course, if your work is taking place between two intersections, you would select between intersections. And we'll take a look at those options as we go through a couple of examples. Next is the county city field. Again, it works very similar to how we previously entered it. As you start typing in the first 3 letters, it's going to filter a list. You want to select the appropriate option. We still have a place field. That's going to be a place in Henrico, town, community, district name, anything like that that may be inside Henrico. You'll notice too, once you type in the county name to the right, the map now zooms to the county or city level that you select. So place field is not required. Subdivision and lot field, again, not required. Definitely helpful information if you have that for the locators. Next, we get the street address. So this works similar, but it's slightly different. As you start entering an address and then you do a space in the road name, it will start filtering these down. So what you can do from here is you can use the down arrow on the keyboard and hit enter to select the appropriate one or your mouse. But you'll notice too that now it has the county or city along with the state on there. It also shows you an address range. So once you select that, we can see on the map that it will zoom to what is selected. So because we selected street address, the mapping system is attempting to automatically map the information that we've entered in the street field. So as we continue to the cross street and we type in the first three letters of our nearest intersecting street, it pulls a list. So one great feature about Exactix is as it pulls that list, it's going to tell you how far from the street you entered in the street field it is. So for example, Linden Way Drive is 0 feet away, and we can see that over here on the map. There's another Maryland, and it's much further away. Linden Way Drive is the one we want to select. Once we do that, it's going to highlight it in red, and that's just letting us know that is the nearest intersecting street that we entered in that field. We still have the required yes or no options below these fields. So you can click on it with the mouse, select yes or no. If you use tab, you can hit in on the keyboard to select no or Y for yes. As we go down past the yes or no questions, we get into the excavation area. So we do still have a way to enter those GPS coordinates. We will definitely go over an example of how to enter those and what they look like, but that would be under the reference coordinates field. Just below this field, we have where work is taking place and additional pertinent information. So this is where the work is occurring on the property or from the intersection or in the roadway. So we'll get that typed in. All right, so new feature that we're super duper excited about is electronic white lining. So electronic white lining is going to give an exact visualization to the locators of where your digging is going to take place. It is a required question, but you'll notice that is yes or no. So you can choose to electronically white line with your web ticket entry account, or you can select no. Now, electronic white lining does not mean that it has white paint. It doesn't mean that it cannot have white paint. Electronic white lining is separate from the pre-marks that you're going to go out to the site and mark with. We're going to say no in this example, and we're going to come back to that in our next one. Another new field that we have that's pretty exciting is the site type. So for this field to give us some explanation, you'll notice that each of these sections have a help functionality. So if you click on them, it's going to show us what everything means or is for in that section. So specifically to the excavation area, it's going to give us what those site types mean. So these site types are going to give some more data and information to the stakeholders that are going to help them with different projects and things in Virginia. So if possible, definitely select that. If you're unsure, currently it's not required, but it is really helpful if you can provide that information. You'll notice at the bottom as well in this help feature that it's going to give a conversion chart for distances measured. So with the 1/3 mile rule, it's going to give you mileage on the left and how many feet that mileage is on the right. So that way you don't have to use Google or try to figure it out in your head. If you know you're going 1/4 of a mile, but you want to list it in feet, it will give you the conversion. So kind of a quick reference guide for you. All right, so for this example, we're just going to do single address. We're going to continue to the right side of the screen. One of the amazing features about Exactix is it does try to automatically map based upon the information you've entered in your location information. So if we scroll up, all the information in this section is what it's trying to automatically map based off of. So what we're looking at is a single address, and we're going to be in the front of the property. And it's already mapped the entire property. So just to keep in mind, locators are still going to go by the description that you've listed that front of property. They do not mark based upon the notification polygon. So in this instance, because we have said no to electronic white lining, This is what they have to reference. Couple of things that we can look at with the map. It does work very similar to Google and other mapping systems. If you take your mouse and you hover over the map, left click and hold, I can pull the map to look north or east, south, or west. North is always fixed at the top, so no matter where we zoom out or zoom into, the top of the map is always north. You can use the scroll wheel on your mouse. So if I push it away from me, it'll zoom in. Pull it forward or back to me, it'll zoom out. Zoom in and out are still here on the map as well. Just below the zoom tools, these are going to be all of your mapping tools. So if I needed to modify my mapping here, these are all the tools that I can use. A lot of them work very similar. At the very top of the map, we have additional resources that we can use in the map. And we'll take a look at those in some more examples. To the top right of the map, if you click on the menu icon, this is where we can see satellite images. So there's two different views. There's VGIN and USGS satellite. Or if you don't need to look at satellite, you can go back to street map. Now, once you've confirmed that your mapping does cover your excavation area, we'll scroll to the bottom and you'll want to select Save Continue. From here, it's going to do one more checkpoint just to make sure your contact information is correct, everything in the location information is correct, and a last chance to kind of view that mapping and excavation area, make sure that they match. If everything's correct, you'll select above information is correct. This is a different pop-up window, so still same information, just slightly different. This is going to show us everybody who's going to be notified to come out and check that property for us, so all the utility members. Once we're done here, we can select Send Ticket. Then it's going to give us a pop-up window. So some differences here. We still have our ticket number. So it's 9 numbers beginning with an A or a B. If you get to the end and you're like, oh man, I forgot, I need to send this to my coworker too, you can now add their email address here. So you can take this out and type in an additional email address. And when you select close, it will send it to both of you. So you have the option to send it to a different or additional email address. One really awesome feature that was able to be built with Exactix 2 is down here, you'll notice we have a couple of different options. You can choose to create another locate request from this window. It'll bring up a fresh screen for you. You can print or download your ticket. So that text form, I know some people like to print off their ticket, so it makes it easier access now. Then continue to step. So this is going to give us more information. Someone could be asking you about it. Maybe you're curious. It's going to give you different resources and links to our website. So any type of site safety or access issues, you can hit next. It's going to go over the CARE Act. We have a whole piece on public versus private utilities. It's going to talk about positive responses and go over what enhanced positive responses are and what they mean. And it's going to give you a quick link to that excavator manual for Virginia. So all of these are really great resources, and you can pull this up anytime from any ticket number, and I'll be sure to show you how to do that. So once you close out, it's still going to leave you kind of on this preview screen from your last ticket. Two different ways we can do this. We can go new up here to the top right, or we could click back home, and it's going to give us new ticket here. We're going to start the next example. We're going to scroll down a little bit. So the area that you describe where you're working, that is currently there. So it's right here under excavation area, right underneath the GPS coordinates. So if you have more of an explanation like directions with your excavation area, this is where it would go. Question, Kathy, you said, what about general notes like not to mark hard surfaces? So those can still go in the excavation area. So if we wanted to put front of property, and we could put do not mark hard surfaces, or we could say gate code 1, 2, 3, 4. MRAS. So what is electronic white lining? The next example we have, we're going to cover exactly what that means and give you a visualization of that. Hang tight just one moment. Okay, Jerry, I'm going to let you take down some of the questions. I'm going to go ahead and start our second example. It might answer some of these questions for them.
Sure. Yep. Thank you.
All right, so let's take this out and we'll start from the top. So our next example here, we're going to do irrigation. I think we did irrigation on the last one. And we'll pretend like we're doing it for ourselves. We're still going to use street address. We actually have multiple addresses for this locate. And we're going to be in Henrico. So notice that a lot of the formatting still stays the same. So if I'm entering multiple addresses, we'll start with the lowest address, a hyphen, and then the highest address, then a space in the road name. And then we'll select the appropriate one from the list. Now, once I do that, that's where the map is automatically going to zoom in, where it's trying to automatically map those addresses. We want to make sure that it is best practice we add a cross street. And we're not going to do any boring. I don't think Scott would let me have any blasting or explosives, though sometimes it would be fun. So we're going to use front of properties for this example. And we're going to say yes to electronic white lining. Okay. Under site type, we're going to do multiple addresses. So again, one thing that I really want to reiterate, especially with web ticket entry users, we initiate that you are going to electronically white line. You have to select yes to electronic white lining. What we're going to do then is we're going to use our satellite image in our mapping area. We're going to zoom in and get a real clear picture so that, because I've been out to the site, I know exactly where I'm doing this irrigation install in front of these properties. And then I'm going to use one of the manual mapping tools. Now that's based upon the work that you're doing or how you need to electronically white line. I know that I want to use a digital line to outline where exactly my dig site's going to be. So I'm going to use the manual tool that's the draw polygon. So very similar. Once you click on a tool and it's in use, it's going to highlight green for you. So that's how you know it's ready to use. You're going to zoom over the starting point. So if I know I'm going to be right here in this yard, I can click one time and release. Then as I start moving my mouse, you see it has a different darker blue line. So that's going to indicate one of the sides. When I get to a point where I need to change direction, I'm going to left click one time and move direction. So notice now I have the solid line in the center, and then I have that blue shaded area outside of it. The solid blue line in the center is me digitally marking the map to indicate to locators exactly precisely where I'm installing the irrigation. So as I continue to outline all of the area where I'm going to do irrigation here, once I get to the end, I'll double click. And then we'll go here and we'll save. And I think I missed a little bit. Let me see if I can do that a little bit better for us. There we go. Okay. So now as we zoom in, what we're looking at, I've indicated yes to electronic white lining. I have now digitally marked the area exactly where I'm going to put irrigation. So irrigation is not going to go up to the fence line over here, just right in front of the house. It's going to carry on straight across the front of these properties. Nothing in the road, nothing on the sides, just in the front. So now a locator can pull this ticket up if they choose, and they can see exactly where my digging is going to take place on the properties of 1721 to 1741 Denham Road. Now you might ask, okay, well, this is the electronic white line. What's the blue shaded area outside of it? Well, now that's the notification polygon. So locators, I've told them exactly where I'm working to the precise location on the properties. But now I need to make sure that I'm getting all the right locators to come out and mark the property. That is the purpose of the notification polygon. And you'll notice the notification polygon automatically hoofs out around your electronic white lining. That's to make sure that we're getting everyone out there that needs to come and we're keeping everyone safe. So once we're done with electronic white lining, we can then do save continue and release the ticket. Someone asked, is there an option to clear the area you're marking if you make a mistake? Yes and no. So kind of like I missed this little part the first time. If I need to start over, I can go up here to the edit dig site and I can either edit what I have drawn by clicking on it and dragging it, or I can simply start again. So I could do the draw polygon tool and try to re-outline, fixing where I might have missed something or adding to it. Maybe I needed to go down a little bit further. Then once I save, it creates the new one. What is the buffer distance for electronic white line? Paul, electronic white line is exact to where you're drawing it. So this is the electronic white line. Now, if you're asking how much the notification polygon buffers, it is still a default of 100 feet. So it will automatically do the notification polygon 100 feet out from your electronic white line. Laura, great question. So with the new system comes new opportunity. So again, the locators see that you electronically white lined, yes, that's going to prompt them to go ahead and log in and look at the mapping to see that electronic white lining. Now, if you do the electronic white lining and you put just properties here, you are likely still going to get a phone call from the web ticket quality coordinators to say, hey, we need a little more description. What we really want to make sure is that where you intended to draw it is indeed where your excavation area is. So these two do still need to match. Whatever you're doing with electronic white lining should have a description to accompany it. Paul, you had asked, how do you save / control plus S or something else? I'm assuming we're in reference to when we edit the map. So anytime that you edit the map, if we needed to redraw this, say again, once we double click, there will be a save option to the left. And that save option only comes up once you complete the manual drawing tool for the map. And then once you click save, it'll get rid of the old one and only keep the new one.
Someone said that they received the early access email, watched the videos, received an email with the code that was good for 24 hours, and they weren't sure what the code was for
Okay,
or what to do after watching the videos. Yeah.
I gotcha. So after watching the videos, 1 to 2 business days, you'll receive your registration login, and that's going to come from Exactix. We'll send it out to you. Now, upon login, Exactix will want to verify your email. So it'll tell you you'll need to type in the code to continue. So that's what that code is for. So you might need to click on that registration link again if you're not able to get in and get another code. That way it can verify your email address.
And there was, how often does the imagery get updated? I'm not sure if you have an answer to that one.
Unfortunately, I do not. As soon as the information comes to us or we get it from our resources, we send it to the powers that be and they update that imagery.
Mhm. Yeah, and the other one is it's basically the same type of quite like what about new areas that are not in MSU yet? You would just the same way you're doing it with the old system, um, you'd have to kind of find that area using the tools and things like that, the streets that are nearby, that type of thing, and describe where you're heading to.
Mhm. Yeah, and
And
that's a great,
then one
and
more after you're
that's
done with that.
yeah. So let's start with the new area. So you can still find the area. Don't sweat it. It works a
Yeah.
little bit different. To the top left, there's a magnifying glass. And let me turn off satellite so it's a little easier to see. This magnifying glass right here will allow you to search streets, county, cities, or points of interest. If you hit the down arrow, you can also search for additional lat and long that you don't want on the actual ticket. So you can type it in just to get you to a point of reference. Or, let's say Denham is new, but I knew that Linden Way was close. I could come up here and type in Linden Way and see it's going to auto populate based upon how much I've typed, and I can select which one I'm trying to look for. So if I select it, then it's going to say, hey, look, here's Linden Way. Maybe the new street is somewhere down here. Then I can zoom in and do my deductions from there because it's a new area that hasn't been updated yet.
I got it.
Um, Teresa, you had asked, can you show how to draw in the new area not issue? So we can pretend like it's a new area. Unfortunately, I was not able to find like a remote area with a new road name, unless off the top of your head you have the county, city, and like a street and a near street that I can find it with. If you have that, we can do it. So, you know what, Teresa, while we wait, if you have an example, like if you have an example of a new subdivision that's upcoming, just throw it in the chat and we can work on it. While we're waiting for that, I do want to demonstrate how GPS coordinates work. So for this example, we're going to pretend that we're doing a sign install and we're going to be from an intersection. So notice how I went from street or address to an intersection. This one is going to be entrance and George. And signs are going to be on I-295. And notice once I type in I-295 and I click in that cross street, again, it's giving me streets that touch I-295. So County Drive is my cross street. So GPS coordinates, it will accept different formats of GPS coordinates. And it gives you a couple of examples here. You can type them in or you can copy and paste. I get very nervous if people are watching me, and I would probably wind up typing my name instead of the number, so I'll copy and paste. All right. When you type these in, a couple of things, we're going to pause here for just a moment. So you're going to see here, because we selected intersection, we provided a street and a cross street. The map is automatically mapping that intersection. Now, if there were more than one, it's going to map all the intersections. So it's definitely going to show you. As you enter in the GPS coordinates, you notice we have green push pins on the map. And as you zoom in on them, it's going to give them corresponding numbers. So that's automatic as soon as you put in those GPS coordinates. Now, like we said a minute ago, even if you electronic white line, the same as it is with GPS coordinates, even though you have them, you still have to put a description. What do we want with them? Where are they located? So in this example, we're doing the sign installs. There's 2 wooden stakes. I gave them the coordinates. Now I want to tell them where the coordinates are located. And we have from the intersection of I-295 and County Drive, continue north about 1,400 feet on both sides of the road. We can go ahead and leave this as yes this time. Okay. And let's do single address for this one. And let's go over here to the map and kind of talk about this. So first thing that we want to do is talk about a different mapping resource, and that's going to be the measuring distance. Again, you click on it, it turns green, it's ready to be used. Take the mouse, hover over your beginning point, click one time, drag the mouse in the direction you want to go, and it's going to give you that distance in feet. Now, if for some reason you want to change the difference or the distance, what's being measured, you can turn it off. You're going to right click and we're going to go to units and we could change it to yards or miles. Auto is always going to default to feet. And then once you hit a mile, it's going to show you mileage. So let's look at that one more time. So if I start here, I'm going to click one time, I'm going to drag, and we got about 1,400 feet. I can double click so it doesn't keep adding my distance as I move my mouse, and I'll click done. Some people use this in the old system. We had flags. We actually have push pins now. So let's say from these you want to go somewhere else, you can always add a push pin. And those look like the little red balloons. And again, to turn them off, just click done. So now that we have where the 2 sign locations are, how far they are from the intersection, let's talk about a mapping tool. And this is going to make it much, much easier for us, especially those folks that have a lot of GPS coordinates. So if you go back over here to the left side of the screen, you're going to see create dig site as area as either points or line. I'll zoom in on those GPS coordinates. If I do points, it's going to do the default buffer of 100 feet around the GPS coordinates. So you see now when we did that, it adds the blue dot in the center. You still have your green push pin for where the coordinate is, and then the notification polygon around it. So because we checked yes to electronic white lining, and I know my coordinates are exactly the pinpoint location of where the signs are going, that blue dot in the center is indicating precise location of where the signs are located for the electronic white lining. Now, if we did line, let's click on that. Maybe we're going from point A to point B. Maybe this just turned into some type of underground bore. I'm going from pole to pole. Now you can see based on the GPS coordinates, my starting point, my ending point, and if it's going in a straight line, that is going to represent the electronic white lining. So definitely this makes the ease of use with GPS coordinates much, much easier. Now you can still go up here if you needed something more with your electronic white lining, and you could add it. You could start here and say, oh, it's going to make a turn and I need a little bit wider, so I need this whole area. And then this line right here is going to represent everything that you need inside of it for that electronically white lined area. Have one more example that'll give us an additional tool to kind of see what's in the area. So let's go back up to the top here for this example. So it looks like, I think that's a road name. Do you have the county or city, Teresa? Chesterfield. Yeah. Let's take a look. So we're going to change our county city to Chesterfield. And I believe she said it was an address. We're going to change to address. Is there an address accompanied, Teresa? Nope, it's a new street. Okay, that's all right. Do you have a street? All right. So what we're going to do, since we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants, Teresa gave us a brand new street. Um, it is Buck Ruby Terrace. This is a little more advanced. So if you're a web ticket entry user, I know some folks use what we currently now call the Muni button, which takes you to the county or city GIS. Again, a little bit different, but we still have it in Exactix. It's going to be info. And I'm going to move that to a different screen so that I can look at them side by side and give us a really good example here, hopefully. But you'll notice what we do is if we know it's a new street and it didn't come up on that drop down list, unless we spelt it incorrectly, which we can look at that too. We want to put it in exactly how it is on the road sign or how the new street is. We don't have to select from the list. And just a few moments here. Let's see what we can find. So we might need just a little bit more information, Teresa. I'm not finding that road name on the county GIS. Do you have a close cross street or an address that comes up? Something that can get us close? You know what? I bet it's Buck Rudy. All right.
That's
So
what
I
I was
think,
just getting ready to say.
yeah, I think I got us pretty close here. All right. So it's just so we don't keep anybody in the dark. What we did is we went to the county GIS. So we had to do a search for the road name. And this is getting us in the general area. So we'll pretend like we have an address that we're looking for on our map. But we can see that like Nash Road is close or Apple Crossway. So what we want to do is when we're in the Exactix map, we're going to go to that search function. And here's where we're going to start narrowing down the area with the other roads that are close by. So it says Nash Street. Nash Road may also be new, and sometimes this does happen. So what we'll do is we will zoom out and grab a bigger road name. And it looks like Woodpecker Road is the next one. Mhm. Well, they've got a whole new area in there. And what we'll do is we'll keep looking for larger road names in the area to help us get down as close as we can to the new area. Jerry, are you seeing anything
Ye-
new that I can use?
Highland Highland Glen Drive might be a good one.
Highland Glen Drive. Yeah.
It
So if
is
we,
southwest of there.
okay. And we are in Chesterfield, right? It's not. Mm, it is in Chesterfield. Okay, I wonder if it's not updating. So these are great questions, Teresa. I like this. Let me start over with a new ticket because it's not updating the data from Prince George. Let's do new ticket. And we're going to go to Chesterfield. Okay. And we said Buck Rudy Terrace. And forgive me, Jerry, what was the cross street?
Um, Highland Glen Drive is a bigger street that's near there, but it's not the cross street. Teresa said the cross street would be Applecross.
Yeah, I like it.
And yeah,
Apple.
okay. Applecross Way. Yeah.
I like it. All right. So it looks like it did find Apple Crossway. But let's say Apple Cross didn't come up, and that's why Nash Road didn't come up. We could type in Nash Road up here and select it, and it's going to zoom to the length of Nash Road. And then from here, we could use another smaller street, say like Apple Cross, because we do have that on here too. And we can even make this a little more real and add an address. We're going to call it 12025. So brand new address in a brand new area. You'll see it zooms me out so that I can see those cross streets in their entirety. So as I zoom in, I know that this is Apple Crossway, and we know that somewhere off of there comes Buckrudy Terrace. What I would suggest, if familiar, go ahead and look at a satellite image, and then we're going to have to start narrowing down from here. Now I can see on the GIS, it looks like that Buckrudy Terrace is across from another smaller court, Dungate Court, I think is the name of it. It looks like it's this one. Okay, then Vegan Court. So my new street is straight across from this. So if I want to look at satellite again to see if maybe it looks like they started grading, because it looks like satellite hasn't been updated. I know I'm in the right area. I know that this right here is Nash Road. I know that the road to the south is Woodpecker Road. And I know that this road right here is Apple Cross. So now that I'm confident that I'm in the right area, I can use a manual mapping tool and I can go ahead and outline this because I know that the new road is straight across from here. It's no further north than this road, no further south, and then east and west. When I do that, I can click save. Now, again, remember, if I said yes to electronic white line, this is indicating I'm working on this whole bounded area. But if this says no, and I put, say, front of property, then they're just going to do the front of property of 12025 Buck Rudy Terrace. So we can definitely, this search option up here allows us to search for lots of different things. So just a different way of kind of using the search tool from the old ticket entry screen. Now, I did want to point out one thing on one of the other examples. So if we know that we're in the area as well, there's another tool up here at the top and it says show map feature at current cursor position. If you turn that on and it's green, as you hover over different areas on the map, you see like a chat box comes up. It's not chatting, but like a comment bubble. When you hover over it, it's going to tell you the information at that point on the mapping system. So at this point, it's saying 11295 Dunvegan Court. I could zoom over here to a different area and see 8549 Birchin Lane. If you want to stop doing that, you just turn it off because sometimes I forget I leave it on and then it's popping up at different areas. So you can always turn it off. Another way to kind of look at the same information, if you hit the eye, what looks like an eye, and now you click on those locations on the map instead of just hovering, it'll pull up the same information. Anything that's available in the layers under that map view of where you click, it's going to show you what is there, whether it's an address, sometimes it's a subdivision name, the community, the county, city. So lots of good information under those. All right. And those are all the examples I have, unless somebody else has something specific that they would like to see. All right, good question. So the question was, I have always called in our tickets. How do I find out if we have a web account already set up? So just kind of a quick reminder, ticket entry accounts are not company specific, they're person specific. So I would say if you personally do not already have a web ticket entry account, you would want to sign up, go through the training class, and then once you complete the training class and all the prerequisites, you would gain access to web ticket entry. You can certainly give us your email if you want to be on the early access list. We have not released Exactix to brand new web ticket entry users. If you want to be a web ticket entry user, say today, you would use the old system and then convert with us in June. Or if you want to wait, we can reach out to you once we start allowing access to new users to come on in and take the training. See, it says, does the way we answer tickets change? I'm not 100% sure I understand what you mean by answer tickets. Are you speaking from a locator perspective? Yes, okay. So unfortunately, again, I can't really answer on that. I think that's more company specific. I would say if you have more questions, you can shoot us an email or, Jerry and I can get that to someone that can help you as far as locator questions and how that will respond with the new system. We definitely do have people working on it. So I'm not real sure. Sorry about that. Our next one was, is there an option to edit a ticket that already went through? For example, if I entered a wrong phone number for field contact, yes. So let's hop out of here. And we're going to discard. So when you have your own account and you click on tickets, it's going to bring you to this screen. This is much more friendly when it comes to looking at your own tickets, or again, like we talked about, the company or office tickets. It's fantastic. So as long as it's the same day, so this is our first example that we did today, we can open the ticket and we can do what is called a correction, I think. I do apologize. That might not. I got a pop-up box here. There we go. It might not be available yet, or I may not have it turned on. This is where we're still working out some of those kinks in the road. If you're a web user and you don't have the permission, so you see something that says correction up here, we can do that in-house. So if you give the web ticket entry team a call, there are certain things that we can do same day on a release ticket. Now, if it's something to correct a location or excavation area or mapping, that would require us to cancel and place a new one. But simple things like an email address or a phone number, those can typically be handled by doing a correction. So we can just go in and change the number. Let's see. So the next question is, will we still be able to do 3-hour tickets? Great question. Absolutely. So if you're again a current web ticket entry user using our current software and you are converting over to Exactix with us, any permissions that you currently have will transition into Exactix. So if by some, crazy reason you logged in and you're like, I had 3-hour access before, but I don't now, certainly reach out to us. It might be just a one-off chance that, we got a bug or something in there. We definitely want to make sure that we give you access to the things that you need. Okay, the next question was, is there a limit to the size of a job that can be whitelined? So again, that's going to be the scope of work in the law. So something that can be excavated within 15 working days and not to exceed 1/3 mile. And I'll definitely say, guys, this does conclude our webinar. Unless you want to sneak a couple more questions, we got about 3 minutes left. If you find that you're having trouble either going through the training for existing web ticket entry users or after you complete training, getting in that early access to Exactix, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We do have a shared email. It is WTE@VA811.com. So we have a whole group of people dedicated to our web users. Oh, we had a couple more questions. Thank you, Jerry. So the radius, we do 50 foot. How will that work? I'm still not sure that I understand that question. Jerry, for an update ticket, I would love to demonstrate that for you. Unfortunately, I don't have one available that I can, but what I can tell you is when you go to your ticket list, you can type in the ticket number here. And then once you click on the ticket and it comes up, you will have the update option on the appropriate date to update your ticket. Kind of like Remark is here now. If today was the day that the update was due, you will have the update button.
Somebody asked also on EWL if the 1/3 of a mile was the perimeter of it.
So 1/3 of a mile is for linear excavation. So again, electronic white line doesn't have bearing on the scope of work. That is
Mhm.
still within the Damage Prevention Act and within the law. So you still have to abide by those. Electronic white line is referring to I can put on a map and visualize it for a locator to show them the pinpoint location of where that digging is going to take place.
And Lisa said, is there a way to work around GPS coordinates? Some of our addresses do not have coordinates. And I think if I understand your question, yes, you don't have to have GPS coordinates on a ticket. You can do it without the coordinates if you have an address that you're working at. Um,
Correct.
so
And
you can just go right past those.
yep. And I think I have an answer for Angelique. So you said the default was 100. We always put in 50 foot. So can that be changed? If you do tickets in web ticket entry currently, the default is 100. So you're putting them in as 100. The default will always be 100. And so the next question was just curious if there may be a printout of instructions available at some point on how to use on how it moved, some point for use of the new process to use as reference. So the beauty about this is all the sections have the help function, so it's going to tell you exactly what they're asking for. The same thing does appear in the map. There is a help function. So anything that you need, there are help. Now, if you want additional text, we may have a reference guide. We also have our best practice guide that once conversion happens and we switch over to Exactix, that Virginia best practice guide will also be updated. So that'll be there for reference as well. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And if you have any questions or you want early access, again, reach out to the web ticket entry team. That email is WTE@VA811.com. And if you're an existing user, we'll be happy to get you set up to go through training and get early access.